react accordingly, and the rest of the world sighs at the predictable futility of it all. And the tension is growing. China is rapidly amassing the world's largest military, and its navy dominates the region's oceans. Japan's political rulers are attempting to overturn its pacifist constitution to permit a more aggressive military capability, and a unilateral declaration of independence from Taiwan would almost certainly prompt China to invade, with the potential to draw in America, which has tens of thousands of military personnel stationed in the region. And then, of course, there is the little rocket man in Pyongyang, with his fat finger still supposedly poised over a nuclear button. And the bad blood in East Asia is not limited to its governments and military leaders. Hatred, proper, visceral, blind hatred, simmers among the people of these countries, every once in a while erupting into violence. In 2012, in the Chinese city of Xi'an, in Shaanxi province, a man, Li Jianlai, aged 51, was dragged from his car and beaten almost to death by a mob following the Japanese government's nationalization of some other disputed rocks in the sea, in this case the Senkaku Islands, which lie between Taiwan and Okinawa. Li wasn't even Japanese, he just happened to be driving a Japanese car. The then Japanese ambassador to China, Uichiro Niwa, meanwhile was fortunate to escape when his car was attacked in the streets of Beijing the same week. Some of the popular protests are weekly affairs. During my journey, I spent some time at a demonstration by a couple of hundred protesters outside the Japanese embassy against the sexual enslavement of women by the Japanese military during World War II. The demonstration has taken place every single Wednesday since 1992. A large part of the crowd comprised school children. One expects florid anti-Japanese rhetoric from the North Korean regime, but why is the anger concerning events that took place over 70 years ago still so vibrant among young South Koreans? And the hatred of Japanese by Koreans is reciprocated, at least by a minority, in Japan. Earlier on in my trip in Yokohama, I had witnessed a convoy of black minivans pass me by, a tirade of anti-Korean invective spewing from their loudspeakers. This wasn't the first time I had seen such things in Japan. For many years, various right-wing factions had been taking to the streets of Japanese cities to threaten and insult the ethnic communities, particularly in Osaka, home to the country's largest Korean population. But what could the Japanese possibly have against the Koreans? Were these merely tit-for-tat demonstrations, or was the hatred as deep on both sides of the Sea of Japan? The disputes do not always involve Japan versus its neighbors. They are multidirectional. The installation in 2017 of an American missile defense system on a golf course south of Seoul had greatly antagonized Beijing, resulting in an immediate and precipitous drop in tourists traveling from China, enough to shake the South Korean economy. Although the missiles were ostensibly intended to counter the threat from North Korea, the Chinese felt menaced by the presence of yet more American military technology so close to their borders, and they made their neighbors pay with unofficial trade sanctions. These hostilities, of course, have their roots in the region's history, a litany of man-made hellishness featuring war, massacre, mass rape, biological weapons, firebombing, totalitarianism, famine, destitution, political oppression, torture, and atomic destruction, all of which remain vivid in the collective consciousness. Remembrance of the kind which takes place in Hiroshima is one reflection of this, but historical memory takes many, often more controversial and divisive forms in this part of the world. Before I set off on my journey, I knew, for instance, that in the heart of Tokyo was a shrine, Yasukuni, where Japanese citizens, occasionally including prime ministers, paid their respects to the war criminals enshrined there, along with thousands of others who died fighting for Japan. This seemed to me odd and distasteful, but still did not really explain the broader picture of the seemingly mutually destructive relationships within the region. I also knew that more than 70 years after the end of World War II, China and South Korea were still seeking an apology from Japan for its crimes. But numerous Japanese prime ministers, as well as their emperor, had offered many variations of sorry to their former enemies, expressing remorse or deep regret on numerous occasions. Was there a bat squeak of insincerity, audible only to Koreans and Chinese, that meant that Japanese contrition was never deemed sufficient? From the outside, this seems frustrating. When most of us in the rest of the world think of the Far East, we begin automatically to draw up a list of all that's wonderful and fascinating in its cultures, the artistic treasures of ancient civilizations, the wonderful food, and a carnival of contemporary temptations from kimchi to hallow